This week, we go back to the year 1984. The Summer Olympics played out in Los Angeles. Reagan won his second term. The first Apple Macintosh was sold. Springsteen released Born in the USA. And in theaters, we got to see a story about a kid from humble origins with big dreams fly to the stars and save the universe. Not Star Wars. That was 7 years earlier. No, what I'm talking about here is a small movie called The Last Starfighter.
I don't know if I was paying attention for that part, but is there a certain reason that they're going to war?
I want to watch my soaps. Can you send your son to fix my cable so I can watch my soaps?
And I have this quote. He goes, escaped, and then he takes out his sword like he's going to do something from 45 million miles away.
This is Dad Made Me Watch It. Hello everyone, this is Brian, and welcome to our second episode of Dad Made Me Watch It, the podcast where I subject my children to some of the movies I watched when I was growing up. Well, with me, as always, are my children. Say hello, guys.
Hi everybody, it's Colin.
It's Caitlin.
It's Emma.
All right, this week we sat and watched The Last Starfighter. So let's get some first impressions from you guys. What did you guys think of this movie?
I thought it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. It was way better than The Black Hole. It made sense, for one. It had a beginning, middle, and end. And honestly, that's all I really look for in a movie.
Not gonna lie, I really wasn't paying attention to the most of the movie. I forgot what we watched, to be quite honest. I know there was something about space and fighting, but that's about it. It wasn't memorable.
For my first impression, I liked it, and there weren't characters talking in fortune cookies, so it was a lot better than Black Hole, but it's still one of those 80s movies that doesn't really make sense and is very predictable. So
it doesn't make sense, but it's predictable. So it predictably doesn't make sense, is what you're telling me.
It doesn't, I don't understand, I guess the CGI and everything, it's weird.
It's the 80s. CGI is gonna be weird.
I know, and it was just...
True, we'll get into that. All right, so we got some first impressions. Let's dive into the details here. The Last Starfighter stars Lance Guest, Catherine Mary Stewart, Robert Preston, Dan O'Herlihy, Norman Snow, Dan Mason, K.E. Cooter, Chris Herbert, and Barbara Bosson. It was directed by Nick Castle, written by Jonathan Betuel, and Craig Sifan did the score. The Last Starfighter is rated PG. It was released on July 13th, 1984, and grossed just under $29 million during its theatrical run. Let's get into the plot. So we open up with a very long credit sequence that takes us all the way through space, into our solar system.
I feel like all 80s movies have some sort of long credit scene that they just spend half the budget on. It's just we're going to take 2.5 minutes out of this movie just so we can get it to the hour and a half mark. Because then we make more money. Nobody wants to see an hour and 28-minute movie, but an hour and a half.
Okay.
Just think about it, They're going to be like, oh, an hour and a half? Let's go see this.
I want to say, I think the only thing I remember from the first Superman is the 10-minute long intro sequence. It just kept going. Did you guys, did they need to sell you on who was in the movie before you watched them? Or, did they not want you to watch movies, so they started off with the most boring part, the credits?
They did. Back in the day, they did have a lot of credits at the very beginnings of movies. They give you just about everybody that was in the movie, everybody that worked on the movie. It all came at the top of the movie. I don't know why, but at some point during the 80s into the 90s, it changed and everything came in the back. Yes.
I think that the beginning, the intro part, is probably my favorite part because it's a lot, I like space scenes because they're really pretty and they're really cool.
You do recall you were upstairs rummaging about while the credit sequence was running for this movie. You didn't even get down here until we were just about
I've
ready
seen
to...
space. I know what space looks like.
Okay.
You came downstairs and you're like, oh, you started without me, did ya? Or Emma, you went upstairs. Anyways, I was thinking, if you're in the movie theater, you already paid for the movie, so if they kick you out, I mean, not that they kick you out, but if they just show you the first 2 minutes of the movie, you're going to get up and leave, and you're not going to leave a mess. Because let's be honest, you didn't eat that much popcorn yet. You're only on your first box.
You definitely ate a lot of popcorn. We finished it before the previews even end most of the time.
How many previews were in the 80s? How many previews did you guys get?
It was about the same. You still got like 5 or 10 trailers per movie.
I feel like that's not right, and you're lying to us.
Yes. Why would I? Why would I lie? What motivation would I have to lie to you about how many trailers were before movies?
Aren't you always the one complaining about how many trailers they show at the beginning of the movies when we go to the movie theater?
I don't have a problem if they're good trailers.
What? No. What? Wait.
All right, let's just...
Why
are you playing
We're getting off track, and we haven't even gotten to the opening of the movie yet.
That's how boring it is.
Okay, well, come on. Here are the credits. We finish the credits, and we go through the solar system and come into planet Earth. And we descend upon the Starlight Starbright Trailer Park.
The Starlight Starbright Trailer Park's jingle is going to have the part about how, like, they have the worst, like, internet connection. Because, like, all I can remember from that place...
Sweetie, this was the 80s. There was no internet.
Yeah.
Then there was something that, like,
the
about
cable.
The cable, like, they have terrible cable or something like that. Because all I could remember from that part was... them always having to say
Why you like that?
That was my soap's part. She stole that.
I did not steal that. That's not what I was gonna say.
So we come to the Starlight
I'd like you to know
Starbright.
that part was
Trailer
already in
Park.
here, so like
All right,
you were
we're fine
credited
then.
first then.
Okay, cool.
All right. So we meet among the many quirky residents of the Starlight Starbright Trailer Park. We meet Alex Rogan and his mom and his brother Louis and his girlfriend Maggie.
Because every antagonist needs a girlfriend.
Were you thinking
80s.
protagonist?
You mean
Protagonist?
protagonist?
Protagonist. Yeah. I don't think Zara was getting too many
It's
ladies
been
with
a
that
long day.
sword, knife scepter.
You don't know that.
All right, we're going to stop talking about that right now.
Let's keep this PG, folks. So that's Lance Guest is Alex Rogan. And when we first see him, he's playing a video game. Not a PlayStation, not an Xbox, mind you.
Not an Atari.
We had something
We've
called
been to an
Standing
arcade before. We've been to
Okay.
arcades. You remember
I
the
know.
cruise? You sent us to the arcade.
Well, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that those who don't necessarily play
How
arcade
old
games
do you think
anymore.
we are?
My cousin nearly died in an arcade. Did I ever tell you guys about that?
What?
That's an inside joke. We're going to move on.
Okay.
Because no one outside of like 6 people will understand what I'm talking about.
I think they'll understand. We only have 6 people watching this.
This-
Oh, that
Including
hurt.
Ryan Reynolds.
And myself twice.
right. Because you were really, really bored. Anyway, so Alex was playing this video game, apparently very, very focused and involved in the video game, and we find out that Alex is more or less the handyman of the trailer park. That's when we hear some cries from out in the trailer park that some cable needs to be fixed. And he was supposed to go out with friends, but his mom said, I'm sorry, you got to take care of all this stuff. So his girlfriend just kind of left him. Said, oh, sorry, I guess we'll see you later.
That's a lie. She said she'd stay.
Oh, okay.
She said she'd stay, except Alex was just too much of a
He was
too
martyring
stubborn
himself.
And, like,
He's Emma, but
it's
grown
all
up.
right. Wow.
You.
I'm very uncomfortable with the situation currently in the studio right now.
So
This isn't a studio.
Yeah, I
This
know,
is
it's
the
not a
kitchen
studio.
table.
So he tells his friends to go on without him, but he makes a big speech about how he's got big dreams and he's not sticking around this trailer park and he's moving on to bigger and better things, right?
He's not throwing away his shot.
Please leave.
You're going to get us copyright striked. You know that, right?
I don't really care.
Because we're reviewing movies.
You know, when Manuel Miranda may just come here knocking on the door looking for his share.
I wish.
I'd be okay with that. We got nothing else going on.
So, all right. So He goes, he fixes cable, he plunges toilets, he does whatever he does during the course of the day. Later, Maggie comes back from the outing with all of his friends, and where is he? Playing a video game.
One thing about teenage boys that never change.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Boys are too obsessed with their video games that they can't, you know.
Emma, you play Fortnite every day. Please stop.
That was a very
There's
threatening
really-
hand gesture.
I don't know.
That doesn't translate well to the medium. Can you please cuss her out on the mic?
No, we try to keep PG. So, what's really interesting about this particular play through the video game is that he's close to getting the record. And apparently this is big news in the trailer park because everybody comes out of their trailers and it's like midnight or something like that. So apparently nobody's sleeping. Maybe they're just watching their cable.
They're
The
so
trailers are very tiny, so like you know you can't. You get all claustrophobic and you can't sleep, man. That's
Right.
how life be in the trailer.
But if they live in the trailer all their life, how will they know if they're claustrophobic or not? Because if you're taught one
Why
thing
you
your
gotta correct me
entire
like
life,
that,
I'm
man?
not correcting you. I'm
You gotta
playing
come
devil's
at me
advocate.
like that, man.
I'm saying, if you live in a trailer your entire life, how would you really know if you're claustrophobic? I mean, you would know
Don't
if you're
hate on trailer
claustrophobic.
people, Kate.
But if that's all you've ever known,
I'm pretty sure we're already 5 minutes in and we haven't even gotten past the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yes, this
we
is true.
did. The first 10 minutes of the movie was the credits, remember?
She's got a point. There was quite a bit of credits. So he's playing this video game. He's going to break the record. The entire trailer park is out there cheering him on, which I don't think has ever happened on any video game I've ever played that have come close to winning.
You've
or
never had
beating.
that happen before?
You
No.
grew up on Long Island.
Well, you're bad at them, I guess, or something, because I don't know.
One time when I was like at an arcade, I broke the Pac-Man record. But it was in a very famous arcade, I guess, because like I'm not that good at gaming.
When
She
did
set
you
a new
play
record on a
Pac-Man
brand new
at
machine.
arcade? What?
Nobody else is on the scoreboard. It's just me.
And I suppose like nobody was really curious about the fact that this video game just kind of showed up out of nowhere and was way different and way more advanced for its time than any Pac-Man or Donkey Kong that was out there, and it's just sitting there in a trailer park.
Wasn't it just a joystick and a button?
All right, the graphics that of the video game that he was playing were very, very
Oh,
advanced.
all
for the
6
time.
polygons?
Yes. Go ahead. Joke about the polygons.
Nah, I don't want
You-
to.
Colin, half of the audience is like Dad's age.
Oh. Oh, no.
They're gonna come after you.
All right, so he beats the video game.
With a stick. He loses the record and he just goes at it with a stick he found in the parking lot. He's like, if I can't beat the record, no one can play this game again. And then the movie ends.
We learned an important lesson there.
And the best part of it all is that on the record, under his name is an idiot. Cause like you know how like you put your name up or you put like your name like.
She's
And
saying
then-
the second place person's name was an idiot, so it's
like-
Alex.
Oh,
Alex
she wasn't
Rogan
calling.
is
What
an
if it was?
idiot.
What if?
Got it?
I wasn't paying attention to the movie.
You weren't paying attention, yes. Well, he won the video game. He got a lot of congratulations, some high fives, and all kinds of non-social distancing celebrations took place. Even though, like, most of these people wouldn't know this video game, probably never looked at the video game, and wouldn't know it if it fell on top of them. But there it is. He enjoys his win. And then he goes in to tell his mom later that night, and Mom is probably about as interested as anybody else would be if realistically they won a video game.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know, like, this is one of the first, like, movies I've ever seen where, like, a teenage boy plays a video game and everybody congratulates him instead of saying, why the heck aren't you doing, like, school or something that you could actually do in your life, you know, like.
Yeah, like he's talking all about like getting his like shot and everything. And I'm just like, then start
We're
working.
gonna get us copyrighted. Stop it.
I forgot. I
Enough with the
accidentally said-
Hamilton references. Thank you.
I want to say my favorite part is after he tells his mom, and then his mom, because he was applying for a loan to get into college. The mom tells him he didn't get the loan, and then he's basically like, what? How? And I was waiting, because it seemed like they were going to go into, how could they not give me the loan? Don't they know I hold the world record for the Last Starfighter? How could they do that? I beat it in the trailer park like 10 minutes ago. Did anybody tell him? Get in contact with the banks.
Let's reapply. That we didn't have this information before. This is new data. Very important to know.
My credit score's so much higher now. How do they not know?
The College Board wasn't as thorough back then.
I guess not. So I guess he was kind of crestfallen when he found out that he hadn't gotten the loan. So he kind of storms out of the trailer. By the way, I don't know if anybody noticed this, but the room that he had in the trailer was way bigger than the trailer itself.
I think this actually takes place in the Harry Potter universe too, because I think that's the only way they can make this work or explain it away. Is how is it?
His bedroom was like 20 by 20 or something like that. He had room for himself. He had room for his brother. I think he had a desk in there and other stuff. There was no way that fit in a double wide.
You forgot to mention how the brother went around for the first 2 minutes of the movie and just shot everybody with plastic bullets. Right?
Yeah, I suppose there's room for some psychological evaluation there of Lewis and what becomes of him later in life, just based on his current way of thinking.
Say what you will, I don't think Lewis would have any problem killing some aliens later in the movie like Alex. Alex is all with his conscience like, oh, should I do this? Lewis would be like, haha, die.
I wonder how Lewis is doing. Like, if you could imagine how the movie's going, you can imagine how Lewis's life is going, because you already can kind of tell how, Alex's life is going, all up in, the cosmos, shooting aliens and stuff like that. And I wonder what Lewis is doing. Maybe he's running Starlight Starbright.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what happens there, but...
Probably in a prison somewhere because his brother and his father left him.
Oh my God!
Wow. Wow. This suddenly turned very dark. Lewis,
Welcome
the
to
heroin
Dark Humor
addict.
Hour, everybody.
He turned one of the trailers into a meth lab later in life and became Breaking Starfighter.
Alex
It
and
was
his
no longer
father
shooting
prepared
plastic
the
bullets.
Disappearing Act on Lewis.
So, all right. So he storms out of the trailer when he finds out he didn't get the scholarship. Alex does. He goes and sort of kicks the rocks and says, "I'm going to Tashi Station to pick up power." No, wait, no, wrong movie. Sorry.
Oh, you made me happy.
And what happens then? This neat car pulls up.
Yes, it is the people from Back to the Future in a DeLorean. Oh wait, no, wrong movie. It is a DeLorean, but it's not the one from Back to the Future.
He stole Dad's joke 5 seconds after he told it.
What?
What?
You said Tashi Station Pick Up Power Converters.
It's the same
No, it isn't.
format, though.
Yeah, it's the same format, but it's my own joke because it was a DeLorean.
But never mind.
Let's
Okay.
move on.
So inside the car is Centauri. So we meet Centauri for the first time. He's like a guy that only has one name, like Adele
Or Beyonce.
Eminem. Or Beyonce. Yeah, he doesn't need two names. So he just introduces himself. Hi, my name is Centauri. And Centauri was played by Robert Preston. This was his last film role, by the way. He had 1 or 2 television roles after this, and he passed away in 1987.
I was about to say, did he die?
I think my favorite part about Centauri is he kind of shredded out the car and was like, "You're playing the video game that I set up."
Yeah, he
Say
said,
it.
I am the proprietor of this video game. He had a very used car
loved his
salesman
accent,
vibe to
or
him. Kind of just like saying, an auctioneer or something like that, talking about all this stuff. And I want to meet the guy who beat the video game. And Alex is like, well, you look at him. And Centauri says, well, get in the car. Let's go. And of course, like any teenage boy that's been properly raised, he just
Can't
finds a
believe he
stranger
didn't
in a
have to do
car
the
and gets
whole-
in the car.
He didn't have to do the whole candy bit where he's like, "I have candy in the car,"
No candy.
He wasn't
necessary.
driving a white van, I guess.
I suppose that was the deal breaker for him. If it was if Centauri was driving a Ford white van or something like that, he wouldn't have gotten into it.
Isn't anybody else a little bit concerned about how his mother never went to check up on him or anything like that? He fixed the cable. He deserves to
What do you mean? She checked up on him the next day.
She checked up on him the next day.
It was
I'm
late
sure
at
if
night.
you were outside at a trailer park, wouldn't mom or dad go to check on you?
Not in the 80s.
Why?
They'd be like, all right, just don't leave the state and you'll be fine.
Just don't die.
And you know what he did? He left the planet. He left the galaxy.
Yeah, I suppose that.
Go to hell, Mom! I'm going to outer space. I'm going to leave the state, and then I'm going to leave the planet.
So Centauri gets him into the car, and in the back seat, Alex meets somebody else, shakes hands with the guy, and gets a shock, and that guy gets out of the car. So
And
of
then
course,
they never talk about it again.
No, he's
No.
just gone.
He's
But
just...
no, what?
Well, they talk about it again, but
Yeah.
the first question I was like, Centauri, who was that, and why does my hand hurt?
Yeah.
Not oh, what are you doing here?
Why did the guy electrocute me and then get out of the car and stay in the trailer park in the middle of nowhere?
But wait, Would that be the first question you would ask?
No, I would have many questions.
Like, why the heck
why
did you
am I
come
in this
here?
car? Why is he going like 100 miles an hour? And why are we suddenly flying through space?
And why are we leaving at like 12 o'clock at night when
It
I
would
could be
be
watching my soaps?
It would be on the list, basically. It would be on the list somewhere. I'm not saying it would be at the top.
If you didn't notice, Alex
Number
is a
one.
little slow.
Number one, where did this unusual car come from? Number two, why is this guy in the hat talking like a used car salesman here in the middle of the night at the Starbright Trailer Park? Number three, who's the dude with no face in the back that gives me electric shocks when I shake his hand?
Number four,
why am I shaking his hand?
Number 5, can we hit a drive-thru on the way out of here, please? I haven't eaten since I fixed that lady's cable.
So they go, and Centauri actually takes him into space. So this is the big reveal in the film. That car is not just a car, it's a spaceship. And off they go.
A space car, if you will.
A space car.
Uh-huh.
So they speed down some roads, they go into outer space. Alex, he seemed reasonably stunned by the whole thing. He kept telling himself this isn't a dream, or this is a dream, or something like that. And then Centauri takes off his face, which was kind of a big reveal.
Didn't really have a purpose, though. He just took it off. He sort of wiped his eyeballs. I'm like, you couldn't just taken the eyeball out, and you had to take off the entire face, and then take out the eyeball from the face, and then you got to wipe it.
Yeah, I probably would have checked out right about then if I were Alex. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. you don't have a face. Turn this thing around and take me home, please.
Just jump out the space car and be like, bye.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't have been a good idea.
And it's the 80s. Doesn't matter.
Space
You guys
is somehow
didn't wear
different in the
helmets
80s.
back then?
Why would
Nope.
you need a space helmet?
Didn't wear a seatbelt either. I don't know if you noticed that.
There were no parachutes or fall damage in the 80s. Why would you need anything like that? That only came in the 90s. That's when people were like, oh, you can jump off things and get hurt. Couldn't do that before.
And get into cars with strange people. No problem.
Even without the candy bit.
We have Uber now, though, so
Okay.
But you're not no parents are going to tell their kid, hey, go get in the Uber and, drive to the arcade or something like that. Why would you do that?
The arcade near here is probably about 20 miles away. And walking, running, or riding a bike would just be painful. We don't have
Why would
arcades.
you get in the Uber?
We also have a PlayStation and Xbox, and you have a Nintendo Switch, so an arcade is really, right there.
Yes.
Moving on.
We can say that at least Alex was playing outside because the video game was outside.
I wonder, he figured that out when he was 10, when his mom told him to go play outside. He's like, haha!
Video game. Outside. I can do this.
Loophole.
Yes. So Centauri and Alex, they land on a space station or a space dock in the middle of an asteroid or something like that. Alex gets off the craft and starts walking around. A whole bunch of people are talking to him. Well, aliens, I guess, are talking to him in a strange language he doesn't understand. And they're gesturing to him to move this way, move that way. And, of course, he's just following along, probably wondering if he's getting probed or something like that. And then he gets a little pin that he puts underneath his collar, and suddenly he can hear everybody clearly. So thank goodness for universal translators, one of the famous plot devices of all sci-fi movies.
I was really happy they did it. I didn't like the hand-wavy way they did that in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I thought it was interesting that they finally, showed them getting the translator. There was a universal translator in Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm almost
Yeah,
positive.
I know that, but wait, what?
They never talked about it, though.
No.
I just assumed they were all speaking the same language until I read that later.
They talked about it at some point, because I know they said something. Because I knew that, and I don't read things like...
You don't read things?
No.
Oh, wow. That's...
Explains a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so we find out, this is for me where it got a little bit more aligned to Star Trek as opposed to Star Wars, because they had all the different aliens there and they're sort of sitting around and they have all the different makeup and the features and stuff like that, all the latex and everything that are thrown on to make these creatures and the special effects.
I will say, for the 80s, the makeup was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not sure who did the creature effects on that, but if you look at it, you'll find that it's similar in the way I thought of either, like I said, Star Trek or perhaps the Star Wars Cantina would probably be the closest thing that resembled some of the folks that you saw in the docking bay or wherever they were, where Alex started realizing what was at play here. Essentially, there's a lot of exposition here. A leader gets up and says, well, welcome everybody. You are recruited to fight for the Ryland Star League against the Ko-Dan Empire. And we find out that the video game that Alex has been playing all along is actually an advanced recruitment tool.
The whole thing that sort of got me messed up is you've been recruited for something that you don't know anything about, and we're expecting you to die today. You're gonna die, or you're gonna die trying. That's what's gonna happen.
Or you're gonna kill a lot of people. Either or.
You're gonna kill a lot of people, but then you're still gonna die.
Wow.
So something similar about this movie and the black hole is that they kind of both have a cult thing going, if you think about it. Because you can tell, like, there was, like, this one line where they all started chanting victory or death, every single person in that thing. And it kind of freaked me out. And I was just, what? What's going on?
Well, these are advanced alien space marines, I guess you would say. It's all victory or death, and that's kind of where they were going. Alex wasn't
They
quite
got
on board
silent?
with that, though. He's
they,
like, what? Wait, what?
Did they, like, get a say in whether or not
I was
to
just here
say
for the
whether or not they
tropical
wanted to?
cafe.
Well, Alex was like, I don't really want to be here. And everybody's like, oh, boo you go die in a hole. And they took him home, and they're like, oh, you suck. Better come back to us.
Alex think that remind me of the way you sit through like a timeshare meeting when you get the free room in like some extravagant place. It was just like, yeah, I'm here. I guess I'll be here.
They're trying to sell him points. Come on, you can take your vacation points whenever you want them. Yeah, apparently we find out that Centauri was kind of pulling a fast one on Alex. He never really mentioned what they were doing and stuff like that until he got there, and apparently Centauri wasn't supposed to be recruiting folks on Earth anyway. Then, in the middle of all this exposition, big hologram pops up and we meet the bad guy. And the bad guy is Zur. And he was played by Norman Snow. And Norman Snow was overacting like crazy.
One thing, this isn't really related to anything we're talking about right now, but I noticed that Centauri, he sort of looks like he'd be the character with a penguin sidekick. I don't know why, he just looks like he should have a penguin sitting in the passenger seat of the car. What do you think we're doing today? Oh no, he talks in third person too. So he's like, so penguin, Centauri thinks you need a bow tie.
I'm not sure where you're getting that, but that's an interesting take.
I would also like to say and mention that all of the characters, or all of like the people on the ship that look the most like human, all have like this bold spot that they all, I don't know if this is important to say, but they all have this huge bold spot.
They are human. They just have male pattern baldness, but it also affects women. It's years of inbreeding that causes this.
It also expands their foreheads.
It was in the director's cut. You would know if you saw it.
And like one of my questions is, why are they fighting? I don't know if I was paying attention for that part, but is there a certain reason that they're going to war?
The reason the humans didn't recruit people from Earth is because they knew they were messed up anyways, so they're like, oh, what's the point? If we can't do it, then how are people on Earth supposed to do it?
Yeah, Zur apparently is a traitor to the...
Did he steal did he do the whole bald spot thing? Did he like take the shaving
Did he
cream
call
too far?
He caused the whole bald spots within the entire...
He went and shaved everybody, including himself, and then left.
No, he was playing a practical prank, and he put hair remover in everybody's shampoo bottles.
And so you had a race of really pissed off bald people. Yeah, so Zur comes in, he's got his little scepter with the knife in it and everything, and he's really cool, and he's just like, I'm gonna kill everybody, ha ha ha, you guys are dead. That was basically where we meet Zur, and then we go to the rest of the Ko-Dan Empire, and we meet Lord Krill, who is more reptilian in nature, and he's got this cool little eye patch that like covers his left eye whenever he's like, I don't know, scanning the entire map or something like that.
Yeah,
So
he was cool. The creature design was like top notch. I thought Gig, we'll talk about a little later, Greg looked a little weird, but the reptilians were cool. There was a whole like subplot there about how like, oh, we're just loaning you our fleet or something. That kind of just went nowhere because they just sort of got rid of Zur and his knife scepter.
Yeah,
Why is that threatening too? They have guns and explosives.
Yeah, you got the impression that Zur and Lord Krill were not exactly on the same page with a lot of stuff. It wasn't like Zur was like the Darth Vader versus Admiral Ozzel or anything like that to Lord Krill. It looked like they were both pretty much on the same level, or that, you know, Zur kind of rented these guys out like a mercenary group or something like that, and Lord Krill was just kind of tolerating him. Alex meets Greg along with while Centauri's like trying to collect his money for bringing Alex aboard. And then Alex basically says, you know what? This isn't for me, dudes. I'm out of here. Take me home.
And they shame him the whole ride.
Don't they chase him? Like the bad guys, they come and they're like, somebody's no, they.
You're getting kind of ahead here.
I'm fuzzy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Alex goes back to Earth Centauri, and the entire way he was giving me a talk that kind of reminds me of when I was little. We went to like the sports training thing. It was supposed to be for soccer. I was told it was for soccer. I showed it with shin guards, and it turned out to be for baseball. So I didn't have any of the right equipment. And then Dad was like, "Make it work." And I was like, yeah, no, can we go home? And then the entire way back, he's like, you are useless.
I remember going to that.
I don't remember that.
I brought my Kindle Fire, and I'm just like, I don't know these people. Because Colin shows up in shin guards, and everybody's looking at him with their gloves, and they're like, what is that kid doing?
I had the same experience once, but I guess I kind of deserved it because, like, we were going to this very far softball game, and I forgot my cleats. And I didn't even bring shoes, so I didn't have any shoes with me.
Yep, I remember that. I wasn't exactly pleased. We had to drive all the way up to Glen Burnie, and you had forgotten your cleats. And we couldn't find any place to buy new cleats either, so we just pretty much went home.
And Dad just started pulling me like around the mall trying to find shoes, and I was just like,
okay, good to relive these things, folks. Glad that we're all sharing here.
No, wait, I don't think I have anything.
oh, you have something.
What?
I don't know, but you gotta have something about that.
No, I don't. I was a good child. I remembered my stuff. Except for like a violin every now and then, but that's about it.
Oh, I forgot my violin all the time. Okay, anyway, back to the
Now
movie.
that we're done with the psychotherapy session. Yes, so Centauri's like pretty much guilt tripping him back all the way home to Earth, and Alex is like, I'm not any of those guys. I'm a kid from a trailer park. And Centauri says, if that's what you think, then that's all you'll ever be. Which, for me, I guess was pretty much the big line of the movie.
Did he say that?
It wasn't as bad as the fortune cookie lines from Black Hole, but it there was a couple good lines. I like some of the stuff Greg said later about fighting the entire fleet by themselves.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit corny, but not terribly so. It didn't take itself quite as seriously, I guess, as the Black Hole. There was a little bit more of a comic element to it. And speaking of which,
I was about to say, if it was a book, it's like a book that you know it's a bad book, but you're still gonna finish it, but you're not gonna recommend it to anybody.
okay, so they get back to Earth, Alex and Centauri, and Alex goes off onto the trailer park, but not before Centauri gives him this little wristwatch and says, well, if you change your mind, kid.
Call us.
Yeah, like
1-800-555-1234.
of course,
Call today. The space team or the Starfighter.
and you know the minute that he gets the wristwatch, he's going to use it at some point.
877-241 Luna.
You guys watch way too much TV.
I don't know what you're talking about. No, I haven't seen one
When
of those
you have a
commercials.
good jingle, like the Starlight Starbright could have, you're gonna remember it.
I don't remember Kate's phone number, but I do remember the phone number in case I need to buy more flooring. It's kind of weird.
I suppose that is.
Oh, it's the Empire one? Remember the Empire one?
No.
Okay.
Empire today. That's the
Okay.
only part I remember.
Off topic a little bit here, kids.
Okay.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
They find out that
Centauri gives him a watch, and he's
Centauri
like,
gives him a watch. He goes home. He walks home from wherever he dropped him off, and then Zorro, he's like, "We have to kill everybody," and so he shoots down the entire Starfleet that's already.
no,
back.
they
Yes,
send
he does.
they send in a terrorist.
They send out.
That's
whatever.
right. Yes, there was a saboteur.
Yes.
Okay,
They blew up the-
terrorist.
You know, that bothered me, because he got, like, an explosive into, like, their main hub. Why not just finish the deal and destroy the entire base? Like, there's got to be some way to do
I
it.
thought it was more curious that they used plastique. I didn't think that was a big thing in outer space, but
I mean, the guy might
who
have
knew?
a taste for the theatrical with his knife scepter.
perhaps. I don't know.
Anyways, he finds out what Alex has escaped, and he goes, And I have this quote. He goes, escaped, and then he takes out his sword like he's going to do something from 45 million miles away. And then also he said something about a meteor gun at some point, and I heard it as a meat eater gun. Like you're going to shoot a dinosaur into space, and it's a T-Rex with a helmet waving his short arms around. And then it's like, Meet the Robinsons when the dinosaur goes chasing after people. He's like, I don't think this is a great idea. I don't think nobody thought this out.
A meat eater gun. Yes, no, there was not a meat eater gun, but they did wipe out half of the star base.
That's where Thanos.
And they destroyed all of the gun stars except for one, which we find out about later. Meanwhile, on Earth, while Alex was doing all his stuff in space, the dude that we met in the back of the car actually crept back into Alex's room and was like, I don't know, molting or something like that.
Morphing into Alex, so he
Morphing
could pretend
into
to be
Alex.
Alex.
He was a beta unit.
Yes. So Maggie came in that morning and she's like, well, I heard about what happened with the scholarship if you want to talk. And
it wasn't a scholarship. It was just a loan.
The loan. That's right. It was a loan. I'm sorry. You're right.
He's not that smart. He's playing video games.
He thinks playing video games is going to get him to school.
So Maggie's like, well, if you want to talk, and because this beta was not finished mutating yet, just kind of rolled around under the...
It's like a Ferris Bueller thing.
Yes. Eventually, Alex comes back. By the time Alex gets back, Beta is full Alex. And we find out, just as a side note here, the scenes with Beta were expanded after production, which is why he looked kind of weird, because Lance Guest had cut his hair, so he had a wig on when he was playing Beta.
I didn't notice that.
I did think this was a weird weird subplot to add to the movie. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, because most of the time they go away and then there's just no contact with home until the end of the movie. But I both liked it, but I thought it didn't fit with the entire movie. I think it was my favorite subplot because the space scenes are kind of lackluster. But
yeah, well, that's what they wanted. They wanted more humor, because the Beta scenes actually, they were pretty funny. They had Lewis come in and he sees Alex arguing with himself, because the Beta unit's like, well, what are you doing here? You should be out there fighting. And Alex is like, there's a war out there. And the Beta unit's like, duh, that's why you're out there, and stuff like that.
He's like, I didn't sign up for this. I just wanted to play the video game.
That's right.
I was upset I didn't get my loan.
And of course, Lewis sees him, and Lewis is like, what's going on? And they both yell at Lewis to go back to sleep.
Don't they threaten him with Lewis's Playboys or something?
Yes, we find out Lewis is a bit of a porn addict.
He's 11.
Yes.
And you think his brother leaving him is going to do him any better? His father left to go get milk.
It's a PG show!
I don't know.
His father left to get milk 10 years ago. He hasn't come back. His brother's like, you know what? I'm going into space. I'll see you later. And he's like, okay, bye. 20 minutes later, he's going to go start an addiction with some of those people that sit behind the trailers.
His brother and his dad pulled off one of the best disappearing acts ever.
How is it the best? You saw him leave. It's not disappearing.
Well, where did he go?
It's a leaving act.
Then
they just
disappeared. He's gone.
Let's continue on. So Alex and Beta have their conversation. Alex calls Centauri using that wristwatch, say, come get your robot. And when Centauri gets there, we find out that Zura has sent an assassin.
Oh boy, it's like Star Wars all over again. But it's the prequel. The second prequel.
Yes.
It's
a Jango Fett attack. Yes, but this happened way before Jango Fett was in the picture. So, yes, they sent an assassin, and they try to take him down. Centauri gets hit by a laser blast and basically tells Alex, well, there's going to be more of these guys coming because they know you're still alive. So Alex pretty much agrees to go back to space to deal with the whole Gunstar thing and to become the pilot he was always meant to be. And apparently he's just fine leaving Beta there to be with his girlfriend. Anybody else have a problem with that?
Meh. It really didn't seem like he cared about the girlfriend that much, to be quite honest. He blew her off all the time, and then when he didn't get to go out with his friends, he started picking fights with her, and it was just meh.
I will say there's that, and then I also feel like he had a really big problem with how quickly he befriended Centauri, who basically just sort of sent him up like a lamb for the slaughter, to be quite honest. He's like, oh no, my friend Centauri is dead. I missed that time he tried to...
So Centauri dies.
Well, I guess he had that father figure he needed, even if it was setting him up for death.
For a whole 15 minutes. Your best father figure sets you up for death.
Right. So Alex goes back. He's like, all right, guess we're going to do this. And he's like, well, where is everybody? And Greg comes back and says, well, everybody's dead.
And it's all your fault.
Just
Nice.
like you're gonna be.
Yeah, nice of you to come back. But coincidentally, there's one prototype Gunstar left that they didn't destroy.
The name Gunstar is so lazy. Right? Gunstar, really?
Gunstar.
Like, you have X-Wing, you got TIE fighters, you got, I don't know, other things I'm sure they
Come up
got.
with one right now.
Huh?
What about a Starfighter? That'd be a good idea.
Oh, you mean like the title of the movie?
Okay, I'm gonna cut your microphone cord if you keep that up.
What? No, I'm serious. Why couldn't they just call them Starfighters? You call the people Starfighters, why can't you call the ship Starfighters?
I guess because it would be confusing if the pilot was a starfighter and the ship was a starfighter.
Oh, I'd like to bring back up the conversation we had while watching this, when we were talking about the movie title. We were talking about Starfighter, and, you know, it's like we had this whole plot where instead of it being a science fiction movie, it was a movie where this person just goes around and starts assassinating celebrities.
The reason we were talking about that was because I believe in the original George Lucas script for Star Wars, it was not Skywalker, it was Starkiller, right? But they had like some movie stars die right before they started filming, so they were like, oh, let's change the
maybe not.
name.
Starkiller is a little rough.
But then they bring that name back in the sequels. Starkiller Base.
Yes, but that was
was just-
long after the original movies were released.
Okay.
But I guess you're right. We could have had a movie called Starfighter about people assassinating celebrities. All right. Well, that wasn't what it's about. It's not about killing famous people. It's actually about being a pilot in an intergalactic army to save the world. So Alex goes and he gets in the Gunstar and they do some training with Greg and they try to figure out how this is all going to work. Alex has his crisis of confidence moment. They venture out and I think they find a scout ship or something like that near the Armada, and Alex is able to take that down, and that gives him sort of the boost in confidence he needs to proceed with the rest of the attack.
Congratulations, you can get one ship, but now you need to go get 1,000 more.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Alex comes up with the idea, well, if we have to take out the command ship, maybe we should wait for everything to pass and we can take it from behind and flank it. So they hang out in an asteroid or something like that, and they hide. Meanwhile, on Earth, there's another assassin. Beta is hanging out with Maggie and apparently having some problems with the whole human social interaction thing. And Maggie's getting ticked off with him. And finally he comes clean, right?
Yeah, I'm a beta unit. And she's like, what the hell is that? And he's like, I'm a decoy.
I'm an alien from outer space. Your boyfriend currently is flying in space trying to kill a bunch of aliens that he has nothing to do with, but now they're all after him and you and his family.
I know everybody's going to get really mad at me about pointing this out, even though I've already pointed it out before. But I do not think that this should be rated PG-13 or PG if there are scenes in there that are more specifically for PG-13.
Well, the PG-13
what scene
rating-
you talking about, Emma?
She's talking about the love scene between Greg and Alex.
Whoa, wait a minute. What movie
They
were
were
you
doing
watching?
more in that asteroid than you know.
No,
The
there
turtle
was like
poked his head out of its shell.
There was like a
Oh
makeout.
my god. Cut it out in post. God.
There was no. On Earth, there was like a makeout / like sex scene going on between like.
Wasn't it
PG-13 rating did not
they
exist
were
when this
fully
came out.
clothed and they were just making out, I guess you would say. And
It was
apparently they were
horizontal
doing
kissing.
it poorly because Maggie wasn't too pleased with the Beta Alex model and however he was acting.
Do you remember that part where it was like Beta Alex was listening to the other guy and what he was saying to the girl? And then he like says everything, and then he's like, because the other guy was like, those other girls didn't mean anything to me. And then Beta Alex said that to Maggie, and
Yeah, so it's essentially he's mimicking what some other guy is saying to his girlfriend and thinking that would win over Maggie, and it didn't quite work out that well.
We forgot to point out spoiler warnings.
Oh, yeah. We'll put that in
everything
before.
after this is a spoiler, guys.
Yeah. So
this is just the very long beginning credits.
Beta finally comes clean. He's like, I'm not Alex. And Maggie doesn't seem to, She doesn't seem fazed by the fact. She doesn't seem angry by the fact that she got left with a robot.
She just believes him. So, like, was everybody in the 80s just gullible? You could have just been like, yo, get in my car. I'm from outer space. And everybody would have been like, okay.
Now,
jump in the car.
in
Meth
fairness,
Is that why there are so many kidnappings back in the 80s?
in fairness, the assassin, the Zandozan, shot Beta right at the time he confessed, and he started oozing green goo and electronics from his midsection. So it was kind of hard not to believe him.
Wait, so was he an alien or was he a robot? Because if he's bleeding...
I thought it was like oil.
Maybe it was like hydraulic fluid or something. I don't know.
I will say it's a well-known fact meth addicts have a loose grip on reality. So maybe this was just par for the course for Maggie. She was like, "Oh yeah, last week I thought you were like a giant butterfly or something. So this isn't too strange."
Yes. So they find out, Maggie finds out the truth. Beta has to go and then finish off the other assassin, the Zandozan. So he like hijacks Alex's friend's pickup truck, which probably cost the kid a small fortune, and he was going to be paying it off until he was like 30. But then Beta just like took it and like kamikazed himself into the Zan ship to destroy it before he can transmit that Alex wasn't actually there. And Maggie was like, "You go get him," or something like that. "My boyfriend's in space. This is awesome." As she watched the pickup truck burn.
I feel like there's something wrong with their relationship because they're both fine. Just like, she's like, all right, my boyfriend's in space. That's awesome. He's going to go kill. She's not worried for his safety. Like,
He's gonna go commit genocide, and I find that attractive.
like, you know, at least like in the prequels, Padme, like, she drew a line when Anakin started killing younglings. Like,
that was Padme's line in the sand was, Tusken Raiders, children. Okay, we might have a problem here.
We'll definitely need some couples therapy to continue this relationship. Yes, so Maggie's happy the fact that Alex is out fighting for the universe, I guess. And we go back and we see the final battle. Essentially, Alex and Greg hang out behind, and pretty much the plan works exactly as they want it to.
Well, there's a lot of honor in shooting an entire fleet from the back without giving them a chance to respond. I gotta say, this Starfighter force is really, really sticking to the Geneva Conventions.
Well, let's not forget, there was also the no way that was foreshadowing that Greg told Alex about the special weapon on the Gunstar, the Death Blossom. He just happened to mention that.
it sounds like the Awesome Blossom.
Yeah,
Was it Chili's or was it Outback?
It's an Outback.
It's Applebee's.
It's an Outback order. So
he turns around and hands him like a flower of onion, and he's like, "Is this what you want?" He's like,
awesome.
"No, Death Blossom."
Throw it at him.
kill him with cholesterol. So they take out the command ship, and at this point, Lord Krill, he's kind of fed up. He's had enough of Zor and his stupid scepter with the knife in it, and they carry him off the bridge.
Did he ever use the scepter?
Well, he held on to it and he extended that blade a few times.
But for, like, did he kill anybody with the blade, or is it just?
I think it was just for
All
show.
villains need
It was
like
just a
really,
switchblade.
like, set
But I
up-
do want to point out, I don't think we clarified. Greg is Alex's navigator. I wasn't sure if he was flying the thing, but they're not like separate ones. He's like the navigator, and then Alex is the gunner. So that's why Greg's with him all the time. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't describe these gun stars in detail, except for how stupid their names are.
Yes. It's a pilot and a navigator, and they all sit in the same ship. They take out the command ship. Zor, we don't know what happens to Zor, but we know the rest of the command ship gets, like, basically crashes into the asteroid.
One of the things, every time Alex made some sort of shot, Craig was always like, that was interstellar, or out of this world. And they're making space puns in space. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But it really sounds like, you know the stickers that teachers put on your papers? That's what a science teacher would put on the paper. It'd be like, A+, out of this world.
And like the background would be like stars in space and everything. And it's just like
There was a while where the first-person shooters would be like, double kill, triple kill, quadruple kill, insane. It just went on and on. That's basically what it sounded like.
It was. And eventually they took out the command ship, but there were still all the other fighters that Now they weren't coordinated, but they were still attacking, and that's when they used the magic weapon, the Death Blossom, which basically fired lasers all over the place and shot it, cleared out the remaining fighters, and then they go back.
It wasn't skill, it was just luck. He just had to press a button and it just would have went boom in like every direction. So he didn't have to aim or anything, he just had to press a button. So anybody could have went up there and did something.
But he got the top score in the game, which is what was most important.
He got the top score in the game on that. You're gonna put this in the stupidest like, I understand it's supposed to go to like Las Vegas or something, but first of all, why would it go to Vegas?
Well, there's a lot of people that go in and out of Vegas.
Okay, but it's Vegas. They're all drunk and they're not stupid, but they're drunk.
Not
They're drunk.
really attacking people.
Not necessarily.
Do you really think the people who make life decisions like that are going to go?
We went to Vegas. What are you saying?
I'm probably offending a lot of people, but that's my point. Like, why don't a lot of the biggest like arcade games were developed in like China and Shanghai and all those places? So why are you putting it in America?
What do you want on the setup, like MIT or something?
That would be smart.
You suppose you get an engineer to go and actually be a starfighter. Well, Centauri did actually touch upon that. He said it was supposed to go, the game wasn't even supposed to wind up on the trailer park. And I guess when you think about it, Alex didn't really have too much competition. It's not like the old ladies would have been playing that game and getting the high score.
Yeah, who set the high score? Was it Centauri, or did he just like beat, I don't know, the guy who owns
They
like the
said
diners?
it was a high score, but it looked like he beat the entire game. So
He
like,
did.
And about the whole old lady thing, Granny had a shotgun. I'm just pointing that out. I think she could have done fine with that game. I feel like she would have played that game.
Granny did have a shotgun, as is, I think, the law when you live in a trailer park somewhere out where they were. We get back to the story here. They win the day. They go back to what's left of the base, and they come to cheering crowds, and they say, well, basically you got to stay here and train the rest of our starfighters for the next battle or something like that.
Because you're not done yet. This is now a life commitment. You wanted to apply for a loan. That's a life commitment, so you're ready for this.
Let me just point out another thing similar to Black Hole. At the when they were at in the control ship, Lord
Krill.
He said death at the very end, because they were like, what do we do, and then he just his eye thing, he came out, and once it came out, he was like death, and then it's like
No,
death
he said
is his
we
only,
die.
yeah, but it's the whole death is the only escape,
Well,
you know?
there wasn't much of an escape there. It was pretty much they were careening into an asteroid. There was no way for them to go anywhere else. I suppose there's some parallel there, but it's not like he was being freed. He didn't get up that day and think, well, you know what? This is going to be it.
And to push through the rest of the movie, Krieg and Alex come back to Earth. They find out Beta's been destroyed. They're like, all right, that's fine. We didn't really care. And then, everybody from the trailer park comes out, and they're like, whoa, a spaceship. And then they're all like, Alex, you did so great. You saved the they just believed him. I guess if you come down a spaceship.
You got a spaceship, it's kind of hard to dispute
they
that,
all
I
get
suppose.
introduced to Krieg, and then
And they
pull a
understand
shotgun on
Krieg.
him.
Yeah, at first they pull a shotgun on him. Welcome to the neighborhood, pal.
My favorite line from the whole movie was Granny put away the shotgun, because she comes out holding the shotgun, and then Alex he walks out and he's like, Granny, put away the shotgun.
Yeah, so apparently everybody understands Krieg, even though they don't have universal translators, which I guess was kind of strange.
Yeah, this movie clearly was really going for the heavy rooted in the sci-fi with the realism and stuff.
Yeah, so they meet up with everybody, and everybody's like, "Atta boy, Alex! Not only did you win the video game, but you also saved the universe. That's pretty cool." And then Alex is like, "Well, I'm going back. Bye, Ma. Nice knowing you." And Lewis is like, "Can I come?" And he's like, "No."
I only have space for one person, and that's for my girlfriend. You ready for a lifelong commitment? We've only been together for 3 months.
Sorry, Ma, who gave birth to me, and my younger brother Lewis, who I've known since he was born.
And
Hey,
does not
Maggie.
have any other father figure in his life.
Sorry to abandon you two like Dad did, but Maggie, you ready to go?
And then at when they start taking off, Lewis, not even stunned by the fact that he's not gonna see his brother ever again, goes over to the video game hey, I'm gonna train to be a starfighter.
Yeah, I know. He just left.
Not caring about the fact that his brother's gone and now it's just him and his mom.
I don't even think he packed a bag.
I bet you, Alex's dad came back as soon as like he came down from Earth, and he's like, "That's my boy. I know you do." And he comes back, he's like, "I got the milk, guys." It's been 10 years. It was a long line.
Wasn't Alex's mom like working double shifts at the diner and stuff
Yes.
too? So he was just like, "Hey, I'm basically like rich and famous now, but see you later, Ma. Like I can't come back again. It only takes like 30
Just be
minutes
happy
to fly
you don't
here,
have to fend for another child.
My mom, the one that went into labor with me and like had to deal with all my whining, bye.
And Maggie's like on the fence because he's like, well, why don't you come with me? And Maggie's like, well, I can't leave my Meemaw.
Granny. Granny's got a shotgun. She's fine.
Yeah, Granny's okay. Maggie's like, okay, I guess I'll just sit in a room someplace out in outer space waiting for you to come home from work. She didn't pack a bag either. They both just like hop on the elevator and go. I guess they had good fitting clothes out in outer space.
You don't need a book. Where we're going, we don't need books.
And I suppose we should probably point out also we find out that Centauri, who we thought was dead, was actually alive. So everybody lived happily ever after. So Alex and Maggie and Crow, they take off and probably wind up irradiating the majority of the residents of the Starbright Trailer Park, who probably die of cancerous tumors within 5 years. The end.
It was kind of a letdown. The entire, not the entire movie, but they were building up to such a good thing, and then at the end, it was just like, congratulations, your friends are alive. Like Centauri came back from the he was like, I understand he was just shot, but he was supposed to be dead, and that was supposed to push Alex to do more, and just finding out that he's not dead sort of just took away that whole
character development. Yeah.
Well, it was at the time it got actually mixed to positive reviews. So Roger Ebert wrote that The Last Starfighter is a well-made movie. The special effects are competent, the acting is good, and I enjoyed Robert Preston's fast-talking The Music Man reprise of Jenna Witt and Dan O'Hillery's Extraterrestrial. But the final spark was missing, the final burst of inspiration that might have pulled all these concepts and inspirations and retreads together into a good movie. Gene Siskel said it was a Star Wars ripoff, but the best one. And Jeff Andrew called it great fun with some truly comical moments and a must for pulp heads and video junkies.
Oh, yeah, I feel like that climax is missing something. They went with CGI in the 80s, and I don't know if that was the best decision. I don't know how you thought when you first saw it, because I don't know how that felt. But I think that based on what we've seen with Star Wars in the 70s, I think that models probably would have been the way to go.
Well, yeah. This was 1984, and this was really one of the first films that used computer graphics at all for special effects outside of Tron, which came out a few years earlier. So there was 27 minutes of special effects they were put together by a company called Digital Productions. And for computer geeks out there, it was built on a Cray XMP computer, and the engineers wrote it in Fortran, which was an inch encoding language. They were actually able to produce those graphics. It was kind of remarkable, and the effects at the time cost $14 million.
This isn't really back to what you were saying, but what I think would have been really good for the movie is if the Death Blossom or whatever it is. I feel like what would have been really cool is Alex was about to set it off, and then it wasn't going off, and then Iguana's like, oh no, I forgot to put it in.
She's called me Iguana.
She called him
He looked
Iguana.
like an iguana.
He did kind of look like an iguana.
He's like, oh no, I must have forgot to put it in. And then everything
I'm
goes
sorry, did
crazy.
he just put an accent on that guy?
Yeah.
It certainly didn't sound like that.
That's another thing that he needed.
Ah, you stupid American. Alex, you fool. It's not operational.
And what would have happened was he would have needed to, they would have been we must defeat them. They had to turn the thing around, pew, pew, pew,
Pew, pew, pew, yes.
I would like to think that Alex came back and told the people at the trailer park about his story, and then one of them went to go open an Outback Steakhouse, and they're like, what did he call that thing? What was it? An awesome
Death Blossom?
I'm pretty sure. No, so he's like, it was a Death Blossom. He's like, no, it's an awesome blossom. Let's make it some fried onion thing.
We changed it. It wasn't selling too well as the Death Blossom. People would need it. We don't know why. Awesome Blossom just works better.
Okay, fair enough. So all things considered, are you glad Dad made me watch it?
All right. Yeah, sure. Why not? It was a solid movie. It's not like we were doing anything else. I thought there was some good comedy in there. I thought that the subplot with the beta unit was original.
We definitely put this movie off for quite some time, and I think it's because we were all nervous that, like, after you showed us the black hole, we were just like, I don't want to sit through this anymore. Can you, like, not talk over me? I'm trying to give my final thoughts, and you're like, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, so, you know, I wasn't impressed by it, but it was definitely a relief.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, if it was like a book, it'd be a book that I would finish, and I would probably enjoy finishing it, but I would never recommend it to anybody because I'd be too embarrassed to say I've read it.
That's a glowing endorsement, Kate.
My final thought about it is that I think it's not a terrible movie, and like Kate said, we've been putting it off because Dad started way too strong, and I think I'll never recover from it, and...
Never recover from what?
The black hole.
All right,
Like,
well,
I can't.
we're moving past that now.
And I think it was I think it was okay. Like, I know that there were a lot of things that they could have done better. Waited a couple years and figure out how to do way better CGI and things like that.
You gotta get over the CGI, dude.
Yeah, the CGI wasn't really perfected for another 15 to 20 years.
I mean,
You got to use it for it to get better. So it's like...
exactly.
I know, but like,
You
and
gotta
I think
respect
they
it.
could have like read through the plot like a few more times and thought about ways that they can like,
Take out some of the spelling errors.
you know,
Awesome.
maybe like switch things around, make it a little bit better. But all in all, I guess it was like, for its time, I think it was a really good movie.
Okay. Well, thanks.
You're
That
welcome.
actually is a pretty good
Yeah.
endorsement, I suppose. So, there you have it. Okay, that wraps it up for this episode of Dad Made Me Watch It. If you're curious to check out The Last Starfighter on your own, you can find it streaming on Amazon Prime. Tune in next time when we take a look at the 1981 film Time Bandits. On behalf of Colin, Kate, and Emma, this is Brian saying thanks for listening.